How do I get a job in cybersecurity? This is by far the most common question that I get asked, and today we're going to answer it. We're going to review intel that was gathered from hiring managers, from real job postings, industry trends, and even the Department of Defense. We're going to talk about the CySec Job Landscape, advanced research, building relevant skills, creating a standout portfolio, networking, certifications, and the common pitfalls, and basically everything else that you would need to make sure that you land the job of your dreams. My name is Hank Hackerson, your trainer for today, and to get more videos like this one, make sure that you like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. And there's something called the Hackaholics Anonymous community that you should definitely at least check out. If you want access to my notes and exclusive downloads and to get lifetime access to me on Discord, consider joining Hackaholics Anonymous. We have 4 tiers. We have the supporter, the agent, the guardian, and the master. Each tier gets their own Discord server and early access to content. The agent, guardian, and master levels get exclusive content, exclusive downloads, monthly Python automations, live streams with me every single month, plus so much more. And to join, you can simply click the link in the description below and you will be able to choose the tier for which you want to join. I really hope I see you in the Discord chats. If not, I hope I see you in the comment section. Okay, so here we go. How to get your first job in cybersecurity. As an introduction, I just want you to understand that most entry-level people, most entry-level folks are not going to land a job right away. Not because you're not capable, but because competition in the world of cybersecurity is extremely fierce. Experienced candidates have real-world skills. They have portfolios, and they leverage their networks. So this is not to discourage you or to tell you that you shouldn't pursue this. It's just to kind of give you a realistic point of view and make sure that you are grounded so that as you move forward with this, you know exactly what you need to do to get the job done and to actually get the job that you're looking for. So I'm not trying to worry you. I'm going to give you a step-by-step roadmap to level up and to stand out, but it does require that you actually implement and you execute these things. And really, honestly, you got to execute all of them. It's not just picking and choosing some of the things that you think would be nice to do. You got to do everything. And if you do everything, you will set yourself in a position, you will position yourself so that you can actually get the job that you're looking for. Now, we're going to cover cybersecurity job landscape. We're going to cover how to build the must-have skill sets, creating your portfolio and making sure that it's a killer portfolio. We're going to cover networking strategies, certifications that actually matter, job search tactics, and avoiding the common pitfalls. By the end of this video, I will very much hope that you have a plan to go from your beginner level that you may be at right now to a hireable professional. And that is my intention for you today. And to reiterate, this is not fluff. This is not something that I'm just doing like a rah motivational video. This is actually based on real job postings, industry trends, and what hiring managers are actually looking for. And certain things that I share with you today are literally from the Department of Defense and from company job postings. These are from actual companies that are hiring people, from the Department of Defense that may be hiring people. Obviously, that's reserved for people who are applying to jobs inside of the United States. But a lot of this stuff is applicable. A lot of this stuff is based on real intel. And it's not just me kind of sharing my opinions on what you think you might be doing or what you should be doing. Okay, so first let's look at the actual landscape of cybersecurity and the job market and why it's hard. Why is it difficult to get a job in cybersecurity? Even though cybersecurity is technically booming, and you hear this all the time. I see ads coming up in Instagram and YouTube all the time that cybersecurity is booming. You should be getting a job in cybersecurity. Why aren't you working in cybersecurity? And the truth is, it is booming. It is a booming industry. The projected growth of 32% by 2031, which is pretty much like, what, 5 years away from now? According to recent reports, that part of it is very much true. This is actually the case, and probably it's going to be even more than this. But entry-level stuff are saturated. Entry-level jobs are super saturated, meaning that if you're trying to go for a junior analyst or a SOC 1 analyst or even a security analyst, these different jobs are saturated. The reason why they are saturated is because inexperienced people who have no business applying for these jobs are applying for every job posting that they can find. So literally, just because they got like a Google certificate for the intro to cybersecurity, they're now applying to every single job posting that has to do with cybersecurity. And these are jobs that they're not even remotely qualified for. But what this does is that it takes the time and energy away from the recruiters. And this takes the opportunity away from legitimate candidates who can actually do the job. So imagine the recruiter, it has to sift and sort through probably hundreds of applications per day of people who are not qualified. And even though the AI tools that they use can potentially filter some of those things out, there are still a lot of applications that make it past the AI because it's so easy to, modify your application, modify your resume to get past an AI filter. But in actuality, these people do not have the experience that it takes to do the job. So this actually takes the time and energy away from the recruiter, which then takes the opportunity away from people who are legitimate candidates who actually do the job. So if this is you, if you are one of these people who is applying to every single job just because you got a Google certificate for doing intro to cybersecurity, I'm going to give you a kind little spank on the butt to say, please stop doing this. You need to amplify your skill sets. You need to become better. You need to build a portfolio. You need to make yourself the type of person that can actually get the job and otherwise only apply to junior level jobs so that the stuff that is relevant to other people who have the skill sets belongs to them and you actually get a job that you're looking for. You don't get fatigued and tired by getting declined for every job that you apply for, because that's also annoying and that's also disheartening and demotivating, and you don't want that to happen either. You want to actually apply to things that you can get so that the other stuff is reserved for people that can get those jobs, and then you are not heartbroken because you're getting constantly declined for job application. And then on top of all of that, there is the emergence of AI. So really think about this for a second, okay? Anything that can be done on a computer can be automated using AI and machine learning. So things like vulnerability scanning, log analysis, and even coding, all of these things can be done by AI very, very quickly, which means that employers are now looking for humans who can critically think, who can adapt to changes and handle complex threats. And probably the most important thing that they're looking for are human beings who can seamlessly integrate with AI to amplify their abilities. So you have to factor the world of AI with everything else that you're doing right now. Doesn't matter what job you're looking for, and we're literally about to talk about it in the next slide. Doesn't matter what job you're looking for, what category of job you want to get into, you need to factor that AI is a really big player now, and it's one of the biggest things that you need to account for when you're applying to jobs that have to do with computers, because cybersecurity has everything to do with computers. So if you're thinking about applying to a job that has computers in it, or, in a couple of years, there's going to be robotics that are going to be included in this as well. And the integration between AI and robotics is going to become a very real thing as well. So if you are considering to get into the cybersecurity landscape, what you really need to account for is that AI is in the play now, and it's not your competition. It is a tool that you need to learn how to use. So you need to learn how to integrate with AI. And I'm not saying to become a bionic man or an android or something like that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying you need to get really, really good at understanding where AI shines, what the power of AI is, and everything else that it cannot do, which ends up being the things that you as the human being can do. So if you know what AI can do, you can then figure out what AI cannot do and then replace AI with yourself in those specific areas, which then brings up to the actual job types themselves. So we have 4 general categories. Within these categories, there are going to be subcategories of job types and roles that specific to the company that you're looking for or the specific entity that you're applying for. There will be various subcategories of jobs that fall underneath these specific job types. So the first one is going to be the SOC analyst, and this is the most common. This is what everybody thinks about when they think about a job in in cybersecurity. So with the Security Operations Center, there are going to be analysts inside of the Security Operations Center. There are going to be various levels of analysts. So for example, the junior analyst, level 1, level 2, and level 3 analyst. And of course, the junior analyst would be the least experienced. Level 1 would be next, and then level 2, and then level 3. So just with the SOC analyst, there's at least 4 different levels of applicants or 4 different levels of job types. And so if you're brand new to the business, if you're brand new to the industry and you're applying for a level 2 analyst, you have no job. You have no business applying to that role because you're not going to get it. A level 2 analyst is somebody that is most likely has been in the world of cybersecurity, has been doing the job of an analyst for at least 3 to 5 years, and they are now qualified to be called a level 2 or level 3 analyst. Unless they have extreme skills and very, very knowledgeable and very capable, and they can demonstrate those abilities, you are not going to get a level 2 or level 3 SOC analyst position starting out in your first year or two. That's just not going to happen. So the job of these people is monitoring threats, basic incident response, escalating threats, and maybe even resolving threats, right? And then within the Security Operations Center, you have the SOC engineer, and then you have the SOC manager or the SOC supervisor. And then all of these people are now working inside of one giant room, or let's say multiple rooms across the country, depending on the size of the company. And they are monitoring hundreds of thousands of events that come into their monitor logs and their activity logs daily. Okay, so depending on the size of the company, they're dealing with literally thousands upon thousands of traffic incidents or events at the very least that come in. And before those events become incidents, it's the job of the SOC analyst team or the SOC team in general to try to figure it out, to prevent it from escalating. And if it is escalating, to escalate it properly to the upper management team so that they can stop it from turning into a full-blown incident and doing some real damage. So this would be considered the blue team. Okay, so anybody who's working as a SOC analyst or a SOC engineer, security engineer, this is called the blue team. The people who are on the red team are known as penetration testers or pen testers. Now, you cannot be a penetration tester unless you have significant skill sets. You can't be a pen tester if you can't do the job of a SOC analyst. So I'm just going to be very clear about this, okay? If you want to be a pen tester, that's amazing. But if you are going from doing your Google cybersecurity certificate and you want to jump from that to a pen tester, you are kidding yourself. So people who have extensive experience in defensive security can then get their certifications to actually become an offensive security person. And that is the red team, and also known as ethical hackers or pen testers. So things like ethical hacking, but this requires significant amounts of experience. Okay, so this is, again, we're kind of going up the ranks here. So from a SOC analyst to go to a pen tester requires a significant level of experience, and most likely it also requires certain specialized certifications. Then we have the compliance and the risk analyst group. And these are people that are in the compliance regulatory type of environment. So they're very specifically focused on policies. And this is actually not a bad thing for beginners because it doesn't require active monitoring, which is kind of a challenge. So if you have a background in compliance, or if you have a background in risk analysis or audits or something like that, then this might not be a bad thing for you to get into, because there are a lot of skills that you can actually transfer into this role, especially if you're detail oriented and if you're policy focused. So these kind of, sorry, this is not really the best order, I guess, of these job titles, but this one would be, I would say this would be like kind of like entry level. And then same thing right here. So help desk and IT support with a focus on security. This is another one of those entry gateways. So this will probably be the beginner, like the very, very entry level stuff right here. Help desk and IT support. This would be very, very beginner. And then the next one would probably be compliance and risk analysis. And then the next one would be the blue team, security operations right here. And then finally, we would have the pen testing team and the red team. So if we were to categorize these as skill set levels, it would start with help desk IT support with a security focus. Then it would go into compliance and risk analysis. And then we would go into the blue team and SOC analysis, and then penetration tester. What does that mean? That means if you don't have any kind of experience with help desk or any kind of experience with IT or any kind of experience with security, so you're coming from I don't know, human resources or something, or you're coming from marketing or something, and you want to get into IT, then you got to be realistic. You got to start from the foundational elements of it. You got to learn how computers work, how servers work, how networking works, and all of those things fall under the guise of IT support and help desk with the focus on security. And if you want to be a network administrator, that's really solid too. If you want to be a network engineer, that's really solid too, because those are all levels, those are all pathways that give you a really strong foundation to get into the blue team, and then from there ultimately get into the red team. Okay, so these are the main job types that you can think about and try to strategize for as you are building your skill sets and trying to map out the path that you're going to take to get into cybersecurity. Now, this is some key information here, okay? This is just kind of like really quick little notes right here. Number one, the average entry-level salary of cybersecurity folks, so starting from even people who are in IT, right? IT help desk with a focus on security, or maybe network administrators or something like that, a junior level analyst. The entry-level salaries are $70,000 to $90,000 USD, but this varies by location. So if you are in LA, you probably are on the higher end. If you're in a small city in like a low cost of living, for example, Las Vegas, you would be in a lower end. So this actually does vary by location. There are a lot of remote roles that are available. So remote roles as a security analyst are very common. But if you're working for a sensitive gig, now sensitive gig would be you're doing intelligence work for the government, or you're doing intelligence work for a really large corporation that has contracts with the government. So these types of jobs will most likely require that you are in person and you're working on site, because there's a lot of sensitive systems that you're dealing with, and most likely in the sake of security, right, in the spirit of security, they don't want you to be connecting remotely via, even if there's a VPN or anything like that, they still don't want you to be connecting remotely. They would rather you be in person and on site, which then transitions us into doing intelligence work. And so when you're dealing with intelligence, and intelligence specifically, there's literally something called intelligence security. Instead of saying cybersecurity, you can work in intelligence security. And intelligence security requires secret clearance levels. And so secret clearance levels, and I'll show you kind of what these things are. Secret clearance levels are a requirement to do certain levels of work, because if they are contracted with the Department of Defense, or if they're contracted with NASA, or if they're contracted with the government directly, doesn't really matter. This type of work requires secret clearance levels. And to get secret clearance, so the guidelines for secret clearance, at least in the United States, are that you need to get, oh, I have the same thing twice, yeah, I do. So these are the guidelines. There we go. I had the same slide twice. So, okay. So these are the guidelines, okay? So there are the confidential levels, then there's secret clearance, and then there's top secret clearance, okay? And so top secret could be top secret or security for the add-ons potentially, depends on the specialization that you're actually going for. So depending on the type of intelligence that you're actually dealing with, there's an amount of damage that can be done, and there's a common intel requiring it, or intel role that's requiring it, CySec or intelligence role that's requiring it. There's reinvestigation periods that need to take place, which essentially means that you need to renew your secret clearances. And then the requirements for citizenship and residency are extremely important, because without these requirements, you can't do any of these things. And this is very, very important for people who are migrating into the United States, or they're trying to apply to jobs in the United States from different countries. These things are required for a high number of security jobs, which means that if you are not a US citizen, or at the very least a permanent resident, which is the next thing that I'm going to talk about in the next slide, at the very least, if you're not a permanent resident, you're not even going to be applied to these types of things, right? So if you want to be a SOC analyst, or anything for a defense contractor, entry-level IT support, basic compliance for federal agencies, or advanced pen testing, threat intelligence for the NSA or the CIA, or cyber warfare operations, any of these types of roles require these types of clearance levels. And if you don't have these, don't even think about it, okay? So working for a company like Tesla, because they're technically building things for SpaceX that is technically contracted with the government, because rockets are technically things that can do extreme damage. So it becomes a weapons manufacturer. Even though they're not actually manufacturing weapons, they technically fall under that category. And so if that's the case, you need to actually have, at the very least, these types of clearance levels. Now, there is something that is available for green card holders, right? So this is a lawful permanent resident. And typically they can't get US security clearance, either a secret clearance or higher, because US citizenship is a core requirement, as you just saw. But what you can apply for is something called a limited access authorization, also known as a LAA. And this is for specific critical roles where their unique skills are needed, usually under strict supervision and for access up to the secret level and nothing higher than that. And I have applied to very many jobs and I've been offered roles for jobs because of my LinkedIn profile. And as soon as I get into the interview conversation and they find out that I'm not a US citizen, they're like, unfortunately, we can't offer this job to you because it requires a secret clearance or a top secret clearance. And because you're not a citizen, you won't be able to get it. Therefore, we can't offer you this job. So I have skills. I have very high skill levels, not very high skills. I would say I have high enough skill levels that I can do some really, really good work for people who are looking for my skill sets. Unfortunately, because of the fact that I'm still a permanent resident, and that's a whole other story, but I'm a permanent resident. I have interviewed for my citizenship, but it's taking a very, very long time to get my citizenship. Therefore, because I'm still technically not a United States citizen, I cannot get a good amount of jobs that I am very much qualified to do with my skill sets. So an LAA would be the only thing that I could potentially do, but these things are very, very rare and they require extensive justification proving that no cleared US citizen can do that same exact job that you're doing, which is also very rare because the competition is very fierce in cybersecurity. Therefore, there are a lot of US citizens that can actually do the job. And if those people don't exist, then fine, they'll grant access to specific information, not a full clearance, to somebody who actually has an LAA. So this is something that, just in case you're working in the United States and you're not a fully naturalized citizen and you want to apply for a type of job like this, this would be something that you would consider. But you need to also be very, very clear about the jobs that are being offered to you and the jobs that you're applying for. So if you see inside the job description that US citizenship is required, don't think that you can get around it, because you cannot. And you're going to waste the time of all of the recruiters and the hiring staff simply because you think that you might be able to get past something that is a mandatory requirement by the government, okay? This is not something that private companies say, oh, it would be nice to have. It's a mandatory requirement. If you're going to do intelligence work, which what cybersecurity is, it is mandatory for you to be able to get secret clearance or higher. So the reality check finally, at the very end of all of this, is that AI like Grok, GPT or Gemini, are helping with code analysis, threat detection. So what you can do should be what AI cannot do, which is creative problem solving, ethics, human oversight. And really honestly, you need to find out exactly what the companies that you want to work for are actually looking for. You need to find out what these people are searching for, what they really want. And in addition to the skill sets, there is the secret clearances. There is at the very least an LAA for permanent residents, or for US citizens to be able to get secret clearances. All of those things. And then we have the creative problem solving, ethics, and human oversight skill sets that you must know how to do. A lot of people who are in technology and cybersecurity and IT are not very good with dealing with other human beings. They're really good with dealing with computers and technology and things like that. They're nerds, you know what I mean? So if you're a nerd, that's all good, but you need to develop the skill set, the soft skills, of dealing with human beings and ethics and all of that good stuff. So these things are, I would say, major requirements. So the next thing would be to try to figure out what the employer itself. So let's say, assuming that you have all of this, right? Assuming that you have the ability to get a secret clearance and you have everything else that is required of you up until this point, The next thing would be to find out what the employers actually want from you. This is what I've been trying to tell people in the comment section every time that I get the question of how do I get a job, and this is literally the comment that I leave with almost every single person. And it's the idea that don't try to guess what these people want from you. Actually find out what they want from you and then learn those skill sets that are specific to the job that you're applying for. And then demonstrate the fact that you know those things that they're asking for. So this would be the closest thing to a shortcut that you can possibly do without having years of experience. So for example, you go to a place like LinkedIn or Indeed or Glassdoor or Dice or whatever, and you try to find entry-level or junior security roles, okay? And then from there, you identify 5 to 10 of your perfect jobs, your dream jobs, figure out what kind of skills that they want. So for example, learning how to use Wireshark or Burp Suite or Splunk, learning languages like Python, and this is a coding language. If you don't know what that means, then you are not ready yet. And concepts like the NIST cybersecurity framework or other types of cybersecurity frameworks, threat modeling that would be with the MITRE attack matrix or any of those things, okay? You create a spreadsheet and you create a column for a job title, company, required skills, tools, etc. Nice to have skills, all of these things. And then you prioritize your skills that you already have that you can actually transfer from your previous career into your new role. So for example, if you're coming from IT support, what skills can you transfer to cybersecurity? And a lot of people who are in IT support, for example, they may be familiar with Python already because Python is not necessarily a security concept. It's more for automation and scripting and things like that. So if you have skills in Python or any kind of scripting language, that is going to be very helpful for you. So you determine what these things are, and then you find your 5 to 10 dream jobs, and then you start working towards the skills and things that they actually need from you so that you can add these things to your portfolio. So I keep mentioning the portfolio, and we're going to talk about your portfolio in a specific section of this video, but this is actually very, very important. So here is an example of what that flow would actually look like. So I have simply done a search for junior security analyst in Google. I clicked on the jobs tab and now we are here. So junior SOC analyst, Q clearance required. Look, it's in the job title, okay? So that we're going to move on. Junior cyber threat intelligence analyst. Okay, fine. We're going to click on this one to see what kind of information that they need from us. So we're going to, let me zoom out here. We're going to go look at the full description here. We're going to move in. And so responsibilities are to collect, process, analyze cyber threat intelligence from multiple sources, identify risks and vulnerabilities, monitor and report on emerging threats, attack techniques and trends relevant to national security, develop and maintain detailed threat intelligence, share actionable intelligence with SOC teams, threat intelligence, etc. Okay, qualifications. 2 years in cybersecurity or related IT fields, bachelor's degree in CySec computer science, active DOE, or top secret clearance. Look at this. Look at this. It's a qualification. This is like a minimum requirement, okay? Strong understanding of cyber threats, attack techniques, etc. Proficient with threat intelligence platforms and tools like Splunk, ELK, or similar. Okay, so ELK is Elastic Stack. Splunk is the Splunk SIM tool or something similar. So this is a specific skill set that you can actually develop and put inside of your portfolio and then demonstrate that to the people that you're applying for. But if you don't have an active department, you see, this is the thing right here that it's like, okay, if you don't have these things, it's very, very difficult to probably get this job. So if you haven't read this and you're applying to this job, then you are being one of those people that is making it difficult for everybody else. And you're going to get declined. And if you keep doing stuff like this, then you will discourage yourself over a long period of time. And eventually you will not even want to do this job anymore. And you're like, yeah, nobody's hiring and I can't do this, etc., etc. And it ends up being extremely difficult for you. So it's not complicated, you guys. This is not complicated to understand. You need to find where you fit in and then from there, develop the skill set. So if this was not a requirement for this, then you can go ahead and make sure that you have these skill sets right here. And then from there, demonstrate those skill sets. And it's that simple. And then there are other pieces right here to be able to develop and maintain detailed threat intelligence reports and documentation. This is something that you can put in your portfolio. Create a report, an intelligence report about a specific threat, and you would get it from MITRE Attack Matrix. And from there, you develop this detailed report and create solid documentation for it. Share actionable intelligence with the SOC team. You can put that in the same report. Use threat intelligence platforms and tools to enhance detection analysis. You can put that in the same report. You can say, okay, this is a YARA rule that I would implement for this specific threat. It's not complicated to do these things. You just have to do the work to actually prove that you can do the job that you're applying for. So you need to do the work in advance if you don't have experience. So this is the big thing right here. If you don't have experience in an actual job and you want to get a job, then you need to prove that you can do the work by doing the work, right? So somebody who has experience of working for a company for 3 years, their experience of working for that company is proof that they can do the work. If you've never worked for a company in cybersecurity, then you need to prove that you can do the work. And the best way, or the only way I would say, to do that is to actually build a portfolio that demonstrates you doing the work, okay? So that is just a quick little demo of what you would need to do and how you can do it based on the job that you're applying for. So why does this work? It works because this reverses the process. Instead of learning random things and then hoping that they'll work, you actually build skills that match 80% of those postings. And then you repeat it for different roles to broaden your appeal. So for example, if you find 3 jobs that want you to learn Splunk, you've already done something for Splunk inside of your portfolio, so you don't need to recreate that part of your portfolio. But if you find something that requires that you have to have experience with QRadar, then you go ahead and you do something for QRadar, you add that to your portfolio, and then so on and so forth. So you do this process for different roles, and it expands your portfolio as you go through each application, and then ultimately you have a really strong portfolio. So a pro tip on this would be to look beyond cybersecurity jobs. You can look for information security, IT security, or even risk management to find hidden gems that you may already qualify for and make yourself a little bit more competitive. So let's talk about these skills a little bit in depth, okay? So looking at the various tools and the various projects that you could potentially work on to make yourself more attractive to employers, okay? We're going to talk about the actual portfolio itself in step 3. So we're not talking about the portfolio yet, but I do want to just kind of go over what the actual tools would be that you would need to get proficiency with if you're not going to be a master for it. So there are things like Nmap, Wireshark, and anything along those lines that work on the network level. So the Cisco Packet Tracer, for example, that would be one of those things. These are really, really strong tools because everything in cybersecurity has to do with some kind of a network level interaction. And then we have web applications. So Burp Suite or OWASP Zap, which is a vulnerability scanner for web applications. You have forensics tools like Autopsy and Volatility. You have cloud environments like AWS Security Hub and Azure Sentinel. These are just a kind of a very basic introduction of the various tools that you would need to be able to do your job and do them appropriately. When we looked at the job application right now, we talked about Splunk. We quickly saw Splunk and Elk were 2 of the tools that were required for a junior security analyst position. So Splunk would be one of those ones. Elastic Stack or Elk would be another one of those ones. So these are tools that are very, very important for you to at least be proficient with and to show that you know exactly how to use them. You may not be a master of Burp Suite, but you need to show that you can work with Burp Suite. So it's very, very important for you to be able to do this. Now, the learning path for this could be through a lot of different channels. I've used TryHackMe and the labs that are inside of TryHackMe to develop so many different skills. And I mean, there are literally hundreds of videos on this channel with me going through a variety of different TryHackMe labs and rooms. And they're very comprehensive. That they have really good stuff that you can use. And there are videos that I built from TryHackMe because TryHackMe allowed me to use Splunk. So I didn't have to go buy a license to Splunk, but I was just signed up for TryHackMe for like $14 a month or whatever. And through TryHackMe, I got access to Splunk, I got access to Elastic Stack, I got access to Burp Suite, and a variety of other things. Hack the Box is another one of these platforms. Then there's Cybrary, and then there's the different organizations like Coursera that provide you specializations or certification programs or just any kind of knowledge that you would need, or Udemy. And these are courses that you can spend $20 or something under $20 for an individual course. I like places like TryHackMe and Hack the Box because you pay a monthly membership, and through that monthly membership, you get access to a bunch of different stuff. It's not just one course that you would pay $20 for. So there are a lot of different places that you can do this. And if you go through the videos that I have for TryHackMe, every single one of the tools that I use in TryHackMe, you can also download for free and just go through the motions that I go through to be able to run the exercises and get the practice that you would need. So it's not necessary for you to actually go and pay for something if you know how to download and install Kali Linux, and through Kali Linux you get access to Burp Suite, and then you can go ahead and use Nmap and Wireshark and all these things because it comes pre-installed with Kali Linux, and Kali Linux you can get for free. So these things are not, you don't have to spend money on them to build the skill sets. You just need to spend the time and the energy to build those skill sets. So the practice routine here would be to spend an hour a day, 2 hours a day, and actually learn these skills. Scan your home network with Nmap, then escalate to capture the flag challenges with TryHackMe or Hack the Box or something like that. Do these things. If you have not done these things and you're asking, how can I get a job in cybersecurity, then you're fooling yourself, okay? I'm just being honest with you. I want you to succeed, but if you have not done these things, then you have no business asking, how do I get a job in cybersecurity? Next would be to use a tool like Grok or GPT or whatever to simulate a scenario. You can ask it and say, hey, walk me through an SQL injection attack or debug this Python script for vulnerability scanning, but make sure that you're not trying to get the AI to do your job for you, because there are a lot of companies that still don't trust AI and they don't want you to use AI. So you need to be able to execute the work yourself. You need to understand what SQL injection actually is and how to detect it and how to prevent it. You need to understand why Python scripts can actually be vulnerable and how to debug them without the use of an AI tool. So you want to incorporate AI and machine learning in your studies, but don't just rely on it to do everything for you, because there's a good chance that the company that you apply for will not allow you to do it simply because AI and machine learning can actually be a security risk. AI and machine learning is not the be-all and end-all of the work. It's just a path for you to expand your learning. So to keep in mind, the amount of time that it takes to build these skills is probably the most important thing. A lot of people want to get into this business and they want to get into this line of work, and they're very impatient, and they think just because they went through a basic cybersecurity introduction course that they are ready to jump into the world of cybersecurity. So at the very least, you need to spend 3 to 6 months of consistent work to actually build your basics. Build a journal and say, on week 1, I learned this. On week 2, I learned this other thing. On week 3, I learned this other thing. And during that week, make sure that you actually work on getting proficient and extremely familiar with the various tools that we've talked about already. And finally, join some kind of a community, for example, Discord or Reddit or anything like that, to work with other people who are like-minded and learn how it's like to actually work with the team environment. We actually have a Discord community for our Hackaholics Anonymous community, and you can join as a supporter and you'll get lifetime access to our Discord community, and you can communicate with everybody else. You can get access to me directly inside of Discord, and that's $4.99 a month. Or you can just go to other Discord communities, or you can go to Reddit and just try to find other communities that you can be a part of that will allow you to work in a group and do group projects and really try to get some skills under your belt and what it's like to actually work in a group environment. And once you have done these things, once you understand where some of these things are, what the tools are, how to work in project levels, etc., you then need to start showing them off. And so this is where the conversation of the portfolio comes in. Probably the most important reason why you should have a portfolio is that 70% of hiring managers value your portfolio over a certification. So if you just say that I'm certified to do cybersecurity analysis, I have my CompTIA CYSA Plus, but I don't have a portfolio demonstrating that I can use Splunk, you will most likely be overlooked. Your resume will get scanned in a few seconds so that you can get past that AI filter. If you can get past the AI filter, once the hiring manager looks at your resume and they see that there's no link to your portfolio, they're probably going to pass you up. And so this is probably the biggest reason why you should have a portfolio. It's very easy to build a portfolio. It just requires documentation. So for whatever tool or skill that you're learning from these job postings, build a project for that and then add it to your portfolio. The way that you can do it is through a blog. You can do it through a GitHub repository. You can create a video demonstration or a case study or host any of these things on GitHub. So it doesn't really matter how you do it. It just depends on what your specific personality is and what your preference is to share this information. But a blog post would be how I used Wireshark to do this, right? GitHub repository would include any kind of script for automated vulnerability scanning if you've developed those. I actually have one of these for my real identity. It's not under Hank Hackerson, it's under my real identity. And of course, I did this as well. Anything that I built that was a script, I just added it. Even the simplest scripts, I added to my GitHub repository. Video demonstrations, you're watching a video demo right now. My entire channel, it started out as me just sharing demonstrations of the things that I'm learning. So this is something that you can do as well, right? Walkthrough of a pen test on a virtual lab like VirtualBox, right? Or try Hack Me or whatever it is. Now, in case you're shy or you don't want these things to be public, your videos don't have to be public the way that mine are. You can just leave your videos as unlisted so that when you share the link on your resume or share the link in your Google Doc for your portfolio, whoever can click on that link can actually view the video, but it's not publicly accessible. So this is also really good if you're trying to share something that you don't want the public to see because it's like a secret skill or something that you're developing. You can still leave it unlisted because anybody that has the link can actually view it, right? So it could be either public, unlisted, or private. Private, nobody can view, even if they have the link. Unlisted, if they have the link, they can view it. So you can actually do that if you don't want everything to be public for you. And then you have case studies, so fictional incident response plans based on the actual real breaches. For example, the Equifax case study that took place, and you can build documentation around it. You can build a incident response plan. You can build the report that you would do if you had to do an incident response or some kind of digital forensics against something like this. Case studies are really powerful to demonstrate the way that you think and how you would approach something. And finally, whatever it is that you choose to do here, you can host it either on GitHub. GitHub has actual web pages that you can develop, personal website, and you can get a free personal website via WordPress or even LinkedIn. So all of these things can be hosted for free through the use of a variety of different channels. So that's all amazing, and you should do it. Creating a portfolio is very, very important. So keep it professional. Make sure that you don't have any illegal hacks in there, nothing unethical. Don't use foul language. Use ethical lab environments. Include metrics like you reduce simulated breach time by 40% using whatever tool. And then repeat this process over and over and over again for every job posting that you find. A new skill or a new project, all of these things should be included in your portfolio. Try to have at least 10 items. 5, I think, is like lowballing. Try to do at least 10 items. 5 would be better than 0. But try to do at least 10 items. And as a demonstration, if you want to know what it's like, what it would look like if you did it on YouTube as a video platform, just check out the channel. There are so many different videos. There's probably over 400 and something videos, maybe like 460 plus. There's a lot of videos that are on this channel, and they demonstrate a variety of different skill sets. They demonstrate me being able to communicate and me being able to transfer information to somebody who's watching. And of course, it demonstrates actual technical skills. For example, how to use Splunk or how to use Elastic Stack, how to use Burp Suite, how to code with Python, etc., etc. There's a lot of stuff that you can find on this channel. And it's me teaching you, of course, because I want you to learn, but it's also me demonstrating that I can do the work that I am applying for. And it has been very, very helpful for my job search and ultimately me getting a job. So These things are things that I'm actually doing. It's not something that I'm telling you to do without me doing it. I'm not just preaching to you. It's stuff that I've actually done, and I just know it works. This is something that I think most people don't really talk about, but this was the way that jobs were originally found before the world of LinkedIn and before Indeed and all these things. It was more about who you know. Like if you don't know how to network, then most likely you won't be able to get very far in any industry, in any business. And in the world of cybersecurity, even though technically we're working with computers and technically you can apply to jobs through LinkedIn or through Indeed or something like that, going to a virtual meetup on meetup.com or going to a physical meetup somewhere and actually shaking somebody's hand and introducing yourself and being personable, it goes very, very far. And a lot of times you will be able to meet hiring managers and CTOs and people that can actually get you the job that you're looking for simply because you show up to these places. So besides conferences or LinkedIn groups or meetup.com or really any other kind of in-person meeting or conference is amazing. If you actually message somebody that you met on there and just say something like, I admired your post on this, any advice for people who are in junior levels, not, hey, I'm looking for a job, can you hire me? You know what I mean? It's like you build a relationship with these people. And if you can do it, then it would be amazing. To expand this, to support this strategy, make sure you have a LinkedIn profile, optimize your profile with keywords, connect with 5 people a week. If you are building your own website and you're posting blog posts, share all of your blog posts on your LinkedIn so that there's documentation available. If somebody wanted to look into you, go into some kind of a community, the ISC2 forums, women in cybersecurity, if applicable to you, especially. There are so many different types of communities that exist. Please check these things out. Networking is a very, very powerful strategy. You should definitely look into it. It's something that has helped me get jobs, and I still think about it and I still work on it. And I have a LinkedIn profile, and it's something that I think you should definitely check into as well. If you don't already have it, I highly encourage you to have it. Don't be spammy when you message people. Make sure that you're actually working on building relationships and really expanding those connections. Do not be spammy, because spammed messages get blocked and then you will never be looked at again. So just be careful with the way that you do this. Nobody likes somebody who's spamming them. If you do this strategically, this can actually do wonders for you. And then we have the actual certifications themselves. So certifications are not a bad thing. It sounds like sometimes that I'm saying certifications aren't important. I think they are very important. It's just that it's not the golden ticket. Just because you have a certification, it doesn't mean you're going to get the job. A certification means that you were really good at studying and you're good at taking an exam. It doesn't mean that you're going to do the job really well. So entry-level certifications, powerful. Next-level certifications, powerful. Right? Really, really important. But if you have a certification, for example, Security Plus, which is a lot of theory, right? So if you can study for Security Plus, amazing. If you don't have a portfolio or if you don't have job experience, it means nothing. There are so many people that have the certification. It means nothing. So CompTIA Security Plus, great entry level. Google Cybersecurity Certificate, great entry level, okay? I know a lot of people that say, oh, I got the Google Cybersecurity Certificate. Why am I not getting a job? Because it means nothing. If you just have a certificate by itself, it means nothing. So go get the certificate, sure, but build a portfolio. Establish some kind of experience to support the fact that you have the certificate. Next level stuff would be the certified ethical hacker, the offensive security professional. This is like a really, really big one. Offensive security is a really big one. CompTIA Pentest Plus is a really good one. So all of these things are really powerful next level types of certifications. And if you get one, amazing, you add it to your portfolio, and then you pursue role-specific certifications based on the roles that you're applying for. If it's your dream job, then you might want to get a certificate to actually qualify for that dream job. So these things are amazing. If you can do them, that would be amazing. You should do them, but they're not the be-all and end-all. They are not the golden ticket. And finally, if you do bug bounties on a place like HackerOne, so you can get a free membership for HackerOne and you can start doing bug bounties. When you do this, this is a real demonstration of your skill. and there's real experience and even money that you can earn from doing HackerOne bug bounties. But more than the money, because the money is not that big, depending on what it is, you might get 500, I think like it goes from $50 to $5,000, maybe $10,000. But the $10,000 bug bounties are very complex bug bounties. So if you're starting as a beginner, you will most likely not do a $10,000 bug bounty. However, if you do something successfully for $50, that's real experience that you can put on your portfolio. So these things are important, and it's just a way for you to build your experience, build your skills, and expand your portfolio. And last but not least, there are job search strategies that I think you should consider. There are common pitfalls that we're going to go through in the next slide. These things would just be things to keep in mind, right? So tailor your resume and your portfolio for each job. Don't just blast out your resume to every single job that you find without customizing your resume. Use a format that is ATS friendly, which essentially means that automated AI bots are going to scan your resume. And if your resume is not scan friendly, then you're going to automatically get declined within a few minutes of applying. Apply to 10 to 20 jobs per week and follow up with the people who are hiring you politely. One of the easiest things that you can do, and this is something that I have done previously and it works wonders, you can go to Google and you can do something like, this is called Google dorking. So we're going to say cite linkedin.com, and then we're going to say in text, and then we're going to say, Coca-Cola recruiter, right? Press enter, and then you're going to get, this is Coca-Cola recruiter jobs, but then you're going to find Mariam Prazian, co-founder at Hire, and then they do ex-Coca-Cola recruiter. Cured, okay, etc. Peter Volens, okay, recruiting partner, okay. So maybe not that. So we would do it like this. We would say in text Coca-Cola, not that. So, and then in text again, and then we'll do recruiter, right? And then we'll do this, something like that. So that's a little bit easier because it's not Coca-Cola recruiter that you're looking for. You're looking for Coca-Cola and recruiter. So Sophia Templeton, talent acquisition recruiter at Coca-Cola. There you go. That's perfect. So let's say you apply to a job at Coca-Cola and you want to find the recruiter that works at Coca-Cola. So you go and do this, and then you request to connect with them and you send them a polite message. Hey, I just applied to this job. Can you please consider my application? I would love to speak with you and answer any questions you may have. Jonathan Smith, Senior Manager Talent Acquisition, Coca-Cola. Okay, great. Message him. Matthew Becker, recruiter at the Coca-Cola Company. Amazing. Do this for the companies that you apply for, and believe it or not, you will stand out from every other applicant. It's a combination of strategies that you can implement to make sure that you actually get the job that you're looking for. It's not a bad thing to do. It's polite, right? You're not trying to spam them. You're just going to say, hi, I just applied to this job. I'd love to introduce myself to you formally, and I would love to answer any questions that you may have. Amazing. And then if you get the interview, practice the questions that you would be asked for the interview. So if you go to your favorite AI, right, and paste the job posting in it and say, hey, can you prepare some interview questions that you think I would get asked for this job interview? I have an interview on Monday. And then you go through all of the questions that you would get asked and then prepare some kind of a response for them and then rehearse your interview questions, etc., etc. So you show up to the interview prepared. That's a very, very impressive thing for somebody to do. So do that, and again, you will also stand out from the rest of the applicants. And so these are the pitfalls to avoid. These are very, very important to consider. There are a lot of people that have an over-reliance on certifications. They think the certification is the most important thing, and it's not. A certification is an entry ticket. This is not a guarantee that you're going to get the job. A lot of people ignore soft skills because they think that if I'm just good with computers, they're going to give me the job. That's not true. You have to be a good communicator, meaning when you interview, you have to be able to present yourself well. You have to work well in teams. And these things can be highlighted in your portfolio because communication in your portfolio can be displayed. Teamwork in your portfolio can be displayed. And then finally, the burnout piece of this is very, very real. So if you apply to every single job that you find, especially the ones that you're not qualified for, and you constantly get declined for the job, that is going to make you burn out. If you are applying to 100 jobs a day and you run out of jobs to apply for, that's going to make you burn out. So these things are very, very important. It's important to pace yourself. It's important to find a job that you really want to apply for, prepare yourself for that job application, practice the skills, learn the software, all of those things, then apply, then move on to the next one. And that process, if you do that properly, then you might be able to do 2 job applications per day, right? If you do it properly, if you customize the application, prepare yourself for that job properly, then it'll do like 2 applications per day, something like that, which would put you on pace to do 10 applications per week. And then finally, there's an over dependence on AI. So if you want to use Grok, that's amazing. Use it to learn, but don't use it to do the job for you. Okay? You have to own the skill that you are applying for, because there's a really, really strong chance that the company that you're applying for does not want you to use AI. Okay? If they wanted you to use AI, they would just use the AI themselves, and they would train the AI to do the job that they're trying to hire you for. If you say, oh, I can do this, and then you go to the AI to do the job for you, and then you apply to the job with something that the AI did for you, and you have no idea what the hell you did, then you're going to not, you'll get the interview and they'll ask you about the details of what you did, and then you won't be able to explain it, and then you'll embarrass yourself, and then you won't get the job. So do not rely on AI overly, okay? It's a great tool to learn. It's amazing, but it's not something that's supposed to do your job for you. And that's very, very important to consider. And last but not least, it takes time, okay? On an average scale, it takes at least 3 to 12 months to get your first job. If you really want to do it quickly, go for an internship or something, internship, or something that would be related to what you're doing, and that will be your foot in the door. Temporary jobs are great as well. If you get a temp job and then you prove that you can do the work, then they'll give you a permanent contract. But if you're trying to get an advanced level job and you don't have the experience and you're trying to get it done in a month, then it's not going to work, and you're going to get heartbroken and you're going to get discouraged. So give yourself time, develop the skills, develop your experience, start with entry-level positions and work your way up. If you work hard, it won't take a lot of time. If you can think about it, probably the last 12 months passed very, very quickly for all of us. Time moves very, very quickly. The days are long, but the years are short. So time moves very, very quickly. So don't just assume that you're not going to get it, and don't assume that you're going to get it quickly. Just work. Do the things that you're supposed to do. Do it right, and you will get the job that you're looking for. I promise you. In conclusion, I just want you to know that this is possible for you. This is something that myself, I've actually done, and it's worked. I think other people have done it. I'm sure that they have. We have stories from our community inside of YouTube of people that did similar strategies and they got the job that they were looking for. It's not impossible. It's actually very possible. It's just that it won't work if you don't do the work. If you're expecting something to happen and you do the bare minimum, just know that there are other people that are willing to work much harder than you, and they're going to get the job, most likely. So it's not something that's impossible. It's something that's very possible. It just requires that you do the things. You need to take the steps to actually prepare yourself to get these jobs. So look at job postings, find out what kind of tools they want you to use, find out what kind of skills they want you to have, build those skills, use those tools, and then demonstrate that you know how to use them by putting them in your portfolio, and then expand your portfolio by learning another tool and then another tool and another tool. Apply to a job that you're actually qualified to get. That way, you won't be rejected repeatedly, and then you won't be heartbroken and you won't be burned out. There are so many things that you can do to make sure that this journey that you're on is a fun journey. You find success quickly, you make money, and do all the things that you were dreaming about doing, okay? I want you to do it. I want you to get the job. I want you to actually find success in this industry. It's just that it won't work if you're going to do the bare minimum and then blame the world that, okay, I couldn't get the job, right? Because they're not hiring, or so whatever the excuses or whatever the story is that you're telling yourself. You can get the job. I promise you can get the job. It's possible, and I believe in you. I think you can do it. I really do. And I just want you to actually do the work so that you can share your success story with me. Now, if you have any other questions about this, if there was something that was not clear and you still have pitfalls or you still have hangups, or there are just some specific questions that you have about what's going on that was not covered in this video, then drop it in the comment section and I will respond to that question whenever I see your comment. But hopefully this video answered a lot of the questions that people have had around getting a job in cybersecurity. And I look forward to hearing from you. There is the Hackaholics Anonymous community if you want to get more information and try to find more resources and tools, or if you need a community that you can actually combine your forces with and learn from and kind of go down this journey together, all of that stuff. It's all available through Hackaholics Anonymous. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so that you get notified the next time that a video comes out on this channel, so that you can learn and expand your skill set. And that's pretty much it. If you want access to my notes and exclusive downloads and to get lifetime access to me on Discord, consider joining Hackaholics Anonymous. We have 4 tiers. We have the supporter, the agent, the guardian, and the master. Each tier gets their own Discord server and early access to content. The agent, guardian, and master levels get exclusive content, exclusive downloads, monthly Python automations, live streams with me every single month, plus so much more. And to join, you can simply click the link in the description below and you will be able to choose the tier for which you want to join. I really hope I see you in the Discord chats. If not, I hope I see you in the comment section. It's your boy Hank Hackerson at Hank Hacks Hackers, your favorite network and system attacker / protector. If no one else loves you, Hank loves you. Love, peace, and chicken grease, and I will see you in the next video later.